Hello, everybody. I'm John Luke, and I'm joined by Aaron. Aaron, you got to check out Rainbow Six Siege's latest update, Shifting Tides.
Those tides are so shifty.
Shifty tides.
Yeah, this is year 4, season 4 of Rainbow Six Siege. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get through just some basic deets on the operators really quick, and then we'll kind of tell you what they actually mean to this game going into this season.
What it was like to play them.
Yeah. So the first one is Kali. She's the attacker. She's a rich lady from India who owns her own private military corporation. She is the first character in the game to have a bolt-action sniper rifle. This sniper rifle is very powerful. It can penetrate multiple walls. It is an automatic down to the body. It'll also penetrate multiple defenders. So if they line up, you can actually potentially wing a shot through multiple people.
That's great.
And it also, like, it breaks windows in one hit, breaks floor hatches in one hit. So to back up that sniper rifle, she also has a pretty good secondary. She has the C75 auto pistol and a P226, and then she can take claymores or breaching charges.
We'll get to her explosive lance gadget in a second, but right now I want to focus on that bolt-action sniper because there hasn't been a new weapon in the game for a while, and that seems pretty powerful. It obviously, I want to know what it's like to actually play with and against that thing. Does it seem as broken in my head as it might be?
You know, this feels like one of those high skill ceiling kind of weapons.
Right.
Where very good players are going to be near unstoppable with it.
That's kind of my worry.
So we played for about 2 hours. I'm an average level casual player, but we played with some influencers. So some of the footage I'm going to show you right now is going to be the kill cam from influencers.
Them being very good.
Yeah. So if you're this good, then it's probably going to be a very hard weapon to counter. But if you're an average player who's okay with bolt action, I mean, the time to kill is so short in Siege,
right?
That you know you're taking a bolt action sniper indoors and trying to compete with people with SMGs. It's going to be Yeah, it's going to be tough to get good enough with it. But there will be people out there who.
There will be people out there, and that makes me a little nervous. But it's that's maybe the most dramatic addition, like weapon addition to Siege in a while, that I feel like could actually really change up tactics and the way you play it. Especially, like the idea of a bolt action indoors. I'm imagining I'm going to be thinking about long hallways on certain maps a lot more now. So then let's talk about her gadget, the explosive lance. It sounds pretty straightforward, but it seems like you did a lot of tests with it, kind of comparing it to other gadgets and characters. So why don't you break down what you've learned?
Her underbarrel gadget is the LV explosive lance. Now, this is actually pretty interesting. What it does is penetrate reinforced walls and then destroy the gadgets on the other side. Mm-hmm. So I think the only person who's really been able to do this reliably since the launch of Siege was Thatcher.
Right.
Who I don't see picked very often anymore.
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, although Thatcher does show up in ranked more often.
We were told it destroys Mute's Jammer, Kade's Electric Claw, and also we didn't see this in our session, but they said it would destroy Maestro's Evil Eye. And,
oh, wow.
You know, normal stuff like barbed wire and deployable shields, but it does not work, and we did test this on the Black Mirror.
Okay.
We tested it on both reinforced walls and non-reinforced walls, and it just doesn't. I think they felt that was a little bit too powerful.
Right. I mean, I guess that makes sense because the Black Mirror is not necessarily an electrical object, so that would make sense. Yeah. And that would at that point maybe be too much.
Yeah. So we'll see. Usually they put these operators in the wild and then they start working on them afterwards.
So let's move on to the next operator, Wamai. What can you tell me about them?
So Wamai is from the Kenyan Navy Special Boat Unit. He was actually hired by Kali and Lore into her private military corporation. So he's interesting. He's there to screw with attackers. His gadget is the magnet system. Just like it sounds, what it does is it catches any throwables, resets their timer, and then pulls them in and detonates them. So it's one throwable per magnet. So we did some very extensive tests with this character. For example, we tested him versus Fuse's cluster charge, and you can build up enough magnets to stop Fuse's cluster charge, but it'll only grab one pellet otherwise per one magnet.
Oh, okay.
Oddly enough, it actually does 5 direct damage if you throw it at somebody, which was kind of funny. If you get that clip where you finish somebody with it, I'll watch that.
Yeah, exactly. That's just a flex right there, really, is what that is.
So touching on his weapons, just real quick, He has an AUG A2. It's rare for a defender to have an assault rifle. And then he has the same SMG as Mute. And then he has a 357 or a P12. He also comes with a deployable shield or barbed wire.
Okay.
So the magnet, this is going to be the most fun change to the meta of the game.
Right.
Because it's just there to mess with people. There's definitely a way to use it and a way not to use it. Mm-hmm. So in our tests with the devs, we found that you do not want to put it in the same room as the room you're defending. Because what it'll do is it'll pull in a flashbang grenade and still flash it.
Yeah. If anything, you're just bringing the stuff towards you.
Yeah. So you want to kind of sneakily get it kind of in hallways where you think people are going to peek and throw things at you.
Oh,
so it pulls it back into the hallway and kind of turns the table.
Oh, like you put it behind them, and then they throw it, and then it comes right back at them.
Totally.
Ooh, okay.
They have enough time to get away. It's very obvious when it happens. Your throwable literally will stop in midair and then yoink towards wherever the magnet is. It was very effective versus Capitão's incendiary arrows.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it actually isn't just throwables, it's projectiles. So we tested it. It'll stop Ash's breaching charges. Mm-hmm. It'll grab fuses, explosive pucks that come out of his device. What it does not grab, though, there's a couple characters that they wanted to balance it against. It won't stop Hibana's X-Kairos pellets, and it doesn't affect Twitch's shock drone. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to stop someone like Ying, who's still a very hard charger, because it'll grab her like candelabra, but a candelabra still spits out a bunch of smaller charges.
Right.
So it's basically effective versus individually thrown projectiles or individually shot projectiles. There's some sneaky stuff you can do with this, which I'm excited to see people try. So in one test, we put it above a breaching hatch that somebody was going to breach, and they threw a grenade down and it yoinked it back up out of the hatch. So, yeah, or you can put it on the underside of the hatch where they can't really see it. So that, if they throw a frag, it'll pull the frag back up to the hatch, and if they don't get out of the way, it'll detonate and potentially kill them.
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, I think the most important thing with the magnet is that it just kind of reduces trust in attackers that what they want to do will happen when it comes to throwable devices.
I just thought of something. Could you put the magnet next to the hostage and have them throw a grenade and have it accidentally kill the hostage? Would it count against them? Could you do that as a way to manipulate?
So you're right on. It's
awesome.
The magnet is probably the dirtiest trick in hostage mode, because you can put it right next to the hostage and it'll pull in, like imagine if Ash fires a breaching charge anywhere in that room. Mm-hmm. It's got maybe a 15 or 20 foot radius, and it'll just pull in attacker projectiles, particularly like lethal ones. Right on the hostage. So it's real dirty when it comes to
because presumably you don't want to throw stuff like that in a hostage situation, but sometimes people are like, well, I know where the hostage is and I can throw it in this corner. But if you put that magnet there,
yeah. Any Fuse players out there who think you know what you're doing, don't anymore. It's a bad idea.
Oh my god, I'm excited to see that clip.
So like overall, again, I have to go back to my comments on Kali though. I think the meta, depending on what lobby you play in with Siege, is so much about the shooting and so less about the gadgets these days.
Right.
That in the 2-hour demo, we had to stage it. These are us playing with the dev, because people generally, at least like the influencers we were playing with, generally just didn't throw things at us.
Sure, they're just gunning.
Yeah, they just run and gun, a lot of them. So, your mileage may vary depending on what kind of people you play with. But these two, again, the overall change to the game now is that you basically have another Thatcher-like character on the field who can help get your team through those reinforced walls, and you now have somebody who can basically screw with any attackers that have throwables or projectiles.
Yeah, that's those both sound like really exciting changes. You kind of bring up an interesting point where I wonder if it has the adverse effect of even further discouraging using like throwables, and more people will just be only gunning. That could potentially be like a setback. Like it's forcing people to not even use their gadgets as much. But I'm curious how that's gonna pan out overall.
That's true. And my other concern with Kali is that now that there's even more ways to counter getting funneled as attackers, that might just encourage more roaming on the defender side. Like, if you can't rely on your walls being defensible, Because again, like I rarely see Thatcher getting picked. Then, suddenly why stay in the room? I mean, I know outside in is a very effective defense, but also there's this war every couple seasons between trying to, roamers and trappers and trying to like clamp down on roaming.
Right.
And so this feels like it'll push things a little bit back more in the roaming direction again.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Once the general public gets their hands on these things, they tend to get very creative with the operators.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Aaron, for taking the time to tell us all about the new operators for Shifty Tides.
So shifty.
And for all further Rainbow Six coverage or any other games, please stay tuned to GameSpot.
2 seconds left. Friendly's victorious. Hostiles eliminated.